What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Manji TV. On today's episode, we've got these AKG polyurethane motor mounts for this E9X M3, as well as the transmission mounts, which are here on the ground. We're gonna show you those in a second. This car is supercharged and quite high power, and he's gone through a few sets of factory motor mounts. As you guys know, the E9X M3 motor mounts, maybe you don't know, are quite problematic. They're just a soft rubber bushing, and over time, really doesn't take long, maybe a year or two of just regular driving, they collapse and start to crack, and they create quite a bit of play in the engine and drivetrain, which relates to a sloppy feel when you're on and off the pedal and shifting gears. And so to mitigate that, this customer has chosen to go with some polyurethane ones. We recommended the AKG stuff. We'll be linking these parts down below, but let's take a look at what we've done so far. So first things first, since the motor is hot, we've started with the transmission mounts. We've gone ahead and put a pull stand under the transmission and lowered the transmission cross member so that we can remove the transmission mounts. Here you can see the factory transmission mounts are just rubber. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but they're quite flexible. And so these allow for quite a bit of slop in the drivetrain, as well as the motor mounts, which we'll be showing you those once we get them out. Here are the replacement AKG Motorsport transmission mounts, part number TM90 M9. Very high quality, 95A polyurethane, and for the most part, they basically mimic the style of the factory transmission mounts. This pocket here going up, they do supply a little reinforcement pad, which goes on the bottom side. We'll be showing you how all that goes together here in a bit. You really can't mess these up. They won't go in one way and sit flush. They only go the right way. If you try to put them the other way, you can maybe get them in, but they kind of don't fit. They hit over here and there's gap over here, and they're not sitting flush in the mount. So they really can only go one way. As you see, it dropped in quite a bit further. We'll be showing you that once we get it in the car and completely installed. Here's one kind of just hanging here. So that's how they'll go. And we'll go ahead and show you that once we get them all together, kind of what they look like in the car installed. And the torque specs for them, I believe, are 13 foot-pounds, but I'll double check that here in a bit. Morgan's gonna go ahead and work on getting these motor mounts that are collapsing out of here. Headers are a little bit tight and hot, so be sure to do this when your engine is cold. As you can see here, this one's actually ripping. Hopefully you guys can see that. There's a little bit of rubber tearing there, so we'll show you that once we get them completely out. But we're gonna go ahead and let Morgan get to it and get those bad boys out. I'll give you a quick look at these AKG motor mounts real fast. Let's unbox these bad boys, unbag them. So the motor mounts are red and the transmission mounts are black for whatever reason. I don't know. Once again, these are also an AKG Motorsport part. The part number is not on the actual motor mounts themselves. Let's see if it's here on the bag. I do not see it on the bag, but they do say torque is 35 foot-pounds and the heat shielding is required. So make sure to put your factory heat shields back on these motor mounts so they don't melt. As you can see, these are for the E90, E92, and E93 M3 only. Also a 75D on this particular mount, where the others are a 95A. For whatever reason, they've chosen to make them in different polyurethane hardness, but nonetheless, very high quality stuff here. You've got a little alignment pin so that you don't get them in the wrong direction, and some nice new hardware to bolt it all down. We'll go ahead and get the factory ones out, compare them with those, and get these in the car and show you what they look like. So Morgan's gone ahead and got the old mounts out. As you can see here, this one is completely torn and destroyed. It doesn't help that the customer's car is leaking quite a bit of oil, which is deteriorating the rubber mounts quite quickly. So we have the engine being supported right now by an engine support bar so that we can lower the subframe just so slightly. As you can see here, it's pulled away from the body about an inch or two, which makes it easier to get the motor mounts in. You can see them in the car here, and all lined up, ready to go all the way up into place. We'll take you guys for a test drive once we get this thing all together and give you our feedback on how they feel, but they look sweet, and they should prevent this car from having any more drivetrain slop. Yeah, transmission mounts in the rear are in. You can see the reinforcement plates here, and the mounts here installed. We still have to do the final torque on those. We're just waiting to get these motor mounts in. You can see Morgan having to manhandle the subframe a little bit. Did you tighten the bottom bolt already? That's your problem. You gotta leave those loose so you can tip them in, bro. That's the key, guys. Leave everything loose so you can get the mounts into the holes and then put everything up and tighten it down after the fact. So just a little tip for you guys watching the video here. Don't loosen or don't tighten your bottom bolts all the way. You can put them on a little bit, but leave them loose so you can flex the motor mounts slightly left and right to make sure they fall into place accordingly and don't damage the threads on the motor mounts. These subframes do have pins here, which make it hard to pivot. So you may actually, if you want to do it this way, have to pull all the bolts, which will be hard for you guys doing it on the ground. A lot of time I've been able to do it without doing this and can just pop the motor mounts out, but it definitely is quite hard and takes a bit of persuasion with a pry bar and like a pull stand and stuff to get the motor to go up enough. So just keep that in mind. We'll go ahead and keep pushing this up. This one needs to be smacked like with a hammer or something just to get it to keep going. Maybe you need to loosen that motor mount a bit more. Let Morgan figure it out. I've done these so many times, but honestly, everybody's got their own way of doing it, and this is probably his first time doing these solid poly mounts, which due to them being poly have a lot less flex than your factory rubber ones, which does make them a little bit more tricky to get into place. Very excited though to get all the stuff together and see how it feels, see what kind of vibrations we get in the car, hopefully at idle and like cruising down the road at like 2,000 RPM, the dash and things aren't just rattling to, you know, crap. But we'll find out here, and we'll be sure to show you guys. We'll take you guys for a test drive, let you know how it feels and the kind of vibrations we're experiencing. We'll go ahead and get this buttoned up. When it's all buttoned up, we'll show you the final look at it, and then we'll take it for a test drive. So we're almost there. So we've got the motor mounts in and tight, torqued them down to 35 foot-pounds. You can see here both motor mounts are in. Subframe is all in and torqued to 80 foot-pounds. Lower bolts, nuts on. They're looking good. We've also done the same to the transmission mounts. We actually still got to torque these to 16 foot-pounds, and the cross member here to 21 foot-pounds. We'll go ahead and do that right now and get this thing back on the ground, get the underbelly pans back on. Before we did that, we just wanted to show you guys the mounts in place. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this bad girl down on the ground, take her for a test drive, and let you guys know what we think. Super excited to feel how these are, and hopefully not too much vibration. So let's go ahead and get to it. We just did a quick oil change on the car. We got all the plastic panels here that cover the subframe back on and the underbelly pan back on. Subframe was torqued to 80 foot-pounds, and everything is ready to come down. And we're just gonna put some oil in it real quick and take it for a test drive. We're using that Liqui-Moly 1060 synth oil Race Tech GT1. This thing is supercharged, as I previously mentioned. It's got quite a few mods on it, like carbon drive shaft and solid subframe bushings, and this ESS supercharger kit. So she is quite heavily modded. Next mods for this car might be some like KW V3s or Öhlins Road and Tracks, as the customer kind of complains about him not having enough traction. We also are probably going to be doing some solid diff mounts on the next video with this car, but these solid motor mounts should make a huge improvement. So we'll go ahead and get the filter changed out, some oil in her, and take this bad girl for a test drive. Hopefully not too much NVH coming from those new motor mounts. All right, guys, we just put a fresh oil filter in it, topped it up with 9 quarts of the Liqui-Moly oil. Time to fire this bad boy up and see how these motor mounts feel. See if there's any additional noise, vibration, or harshness. So we're gonna go ahead and get the first start here on camera. Not totally sure how it's gonna feel, but we'll find out right now. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel the motor cranking. There's a little, I don't want to call it noise, but you can almost like hear the starter turning through the chassis. There's a little bit of vibration here at idle as it kind of settles in. Not too bad, actually quite a bit better than I was expecting. We'll let this thing warm up and see how she really feels. We're gonna go ahead and put it in reverse. What was cool about that, you did not even feel the thing go into reverse. The motor is so stiff, and the subframe and the one-piece drive shaft, the car really just kind of went into reverse without any sort of hiccup. Let's see if we go to drive. That's pretty sweet. There's like very little noticeable feeling from reverse to drive, which is pretty awesome. And back this thing out. I'm actually really surprised so far. There's not much vibration from these motor mounts. That's actually a really nice upgrade. A lot of time I will stay away from poly or solid motor mounts due to just the additional noise, vibration, and harshness, but there does not seem to be much. There's a little, but I'm hearing noise of maybe drive shaft being transferred through, but yeah, that's not bad. Just cruising down the road here at like 2,000 RPM. I'm really surprised. And that supercharger whine just, man, that throws you off. You know, owning an E9X M3 myself, hearing what sounds like a supercharger on this thing is just so weird. And it kind of sounds like a bad belt pulley, or like, since it's happening at idle slightly, almost sounds like a wheel bearing, like almost. It's weird. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's very kind of strange noise when you're not actually in it. So we'll go ahead and take this thing for a cruise. We'll warm it up all the way. We'll check the oil level before we make a pull. And then once we verify the oil level is good and the engine is warm, we'll make a nice pull here and just see how she feels, shift through the gears, and yeah. All right, guys, the battery is about to die, but we'll get a pull here. Woo! She's running good, sounding good. Maybe we'll get one flyby on the outside, but yeah, that S65 paired with the supercharger is a nice combo. Very nice combo. We'll go ahead and turn this bad boy around and see if we can't get an outside shot. Alright guys, if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, comment down below, let us know what you liked about this video and what you didn't like, and what you want to see us do next. And we'll see you in the next one.